Hello everybody and welcome to another week of Makers Monday. I am Anastasia Radloff, aka Stampin' Blondie, and I'm excited to be back here with you for another week of live step-by-step stamping. Now, some of you may have asked, where has Stampin' Blondie been? I haven't been live in about a month. Sometimes we get in that little funk where we kind of lose our crafting and stamping mojo, and I just needed to kind of step away from the craft room a little bit and focus on some other things. I got out and I did some exploring and participated in crafting with other mediums, and so I'm back and I'm excited to do some crafting for you here today. Now let me just make sure that I am live on Facebook. I'm also live over on YouTube as well, so whichever way you're watching, make sure to comment, say hi, let me know that you're watching. Now I have to say, the air quality here is really bad, so it is affecting my asthma today. So I did take my rescue inhaler before I came live, and I have a water bottle, so if you see me needing to stop and take some water, it's because Korea does not always have the best air quality, and today it's really bad. I can tell when it's bad because outside of my apartment, normally I can see my apartment faces west, and so normally if I can see the mountains towards the west, then the air quality is quite good, it's clear. Today I can't see them at all. So when the air quality is kind of bad, I try to stay at home. I do have asthma and it can affect that, so I just drink some water and just kind of stay at home if the air quality is too bad. I am going to take a sip of water here just to kind of clear my throat a little bit. Hopefully that helps. Like I said, I did take my rescue inhaler just as a precaution because talking sometimes aggravates my asthma as well. It's really strange. Okay, and clearing my throat too, that'll be part of the asthma thing. So I apologize if that bothers you. That's just what I've got to deal with here living in Korea. So welcome everybody to another week of Makers Monday. Like I said, I kind of lost my mojo there a little bit. I mentioned that I got into some other kind of crafting mediums. So this past weekend, I went to, there is a trip provider here on base called ITT, Information Ticket and Tours, and they put together little trips just around the country to experience different things, and I signed up for a clay pottery. So there is a Korean pottery village here, and the whole village is a bunch of Korean clay potters that sell their wares, and we were able to participate in decorating a mug and then using a clay wheel to create our own rice bowl. So I'll get my rice bowl back in about 8 weeks. They glaze them and fire them, and then they deliver them back to base, so I get to pick it up. And then we participated in a traditional Korean tea ceremony, which was really fun. We learned about the different steps that they do during this traditional ceremony, got to drink green tea and learn about the tea making process, and it was very fun. And we were able to wear traditional garments that are called hanbok, and we were able to wear those during the tea ceremony, which was a lot of fun. So I signed up for that with one of my friends, and we were able to experience that, and it was so much fun to drink the tea and just learn about the culture and the history a little bit more while we get the amazing opportunity to live here. All right, so moving on, today I will be creating 3 projects featuring the Cute as a Bug suite. Now this suite is from the January to April mini catalog, and as demonstrators we get to pre-order from each new catalog a month prior to it being released. So I was able to pre-order this back in December, and it was the first thing I added to my cart. I love this whole suite. Normally I don't purchase entire suites. which include designer series paper, stamp sets, dies, embellishments, sometimes an embossing folder depending on what that coordinates with it. Normally I don't purchase the entire suite, but this one I did. I love the cute little designs of these bugs, the designer series paper, and all of the fun things there. Now let me just check one thing. I know I'm live here on Facebook, but hello April, thank you for saying hi. She's watching over on YouTube. Okay, looks like I'm live on Facebook too. All right, just wanted to make sure. Sometimes my computer's wonky. Being overseas, you have to have different programs to kind of hide your IP address to say you're in the States. So I just want to make sure everything was good. But before we jump into our projects, I just have one quick announcement. So let's go ahead and swap the camera. We'll go over that and then we will jump into our projects this week. So this month, between February 3rd and March 2nd, Stampin' Up! Is got a sign-up bonus for new demonstrators. This is the brand new Stampin' Positioner tool. If you've been around Stampin' Up! For a while, you remember we used to have the Stamparatus, and they discontinued the Stamparatus, and they have brought out this new Stamp Positioner tool. It is a platform stamping tool. I don't have one because I have the Stamparatus, but the Stamp Positioner tool, it comes with a base plate here. Let me kind of lift this up so you can see the photo. So it comes with a base plate, a small adjacent plate. So what it does is you put your stamp on the smaller plate, and it's kind of like a springboard, if you can think of a springboard, where you push down on the top of it and then it helps you stamp. And then if for some reason your image did not come out crisp the first time, you can then re-ink your stamp and stamp in the exact same location as before. So then you get that crisp and clear image. It has a large stamp plate as well as that smaller one, 2 magnets. So this is magnetized to help hold your paper down in place. Just a little bit of a caveat: if you do have a pacemaker, please do not consider the Stamp Positioner tool because of the strong magnets. And then it comes with, you can purchase separately the grid paper, and it has these little pegs at the top of the Positioner tool, and so does the grid paper, so that you can put your grid paper on there and it kind of, sets in the little pegs. I'm hoping in the future that Stampin' Up! Does come out with stencils that have the little pegs at the top, so that you can just place your stencil on the Stamp Positioner tool to be able to use those in place as well. So during this joint offer, any new Stampin' demonstrators that sign up between February 3rd and March 2nd will automatically receive this free Stamp Positioner in their starter kit, as well as the $125 in your choice of products for $99 with free shipping. So this Stamp Positioner right now is only available to new demonstrators. Hopefully after March 3rd, it will be available to all demonstrators and customers at that time. But right now, the Stamp Positioner is just available to new demonstrators that sign up until March 3rd. Now, if you have any questions about being a demonstrator, I'd be more than happy to answer them. You do not need to teach classes, host events, sell to friends and family. You don't even have to make any additional purchases as a demonstrator. So if you have questions about that, send me a message and I'd be more than happy to answer them. I have been a demonstrator for over 15 years, so I can answer any questions that you may have. All right, so let's get started. Like I mentioned, the Cute as the Bug suite is on page 42 and 43 of the mini catalog. And I mentioned earlier, like I said, normally I don't purchase the entire suite, but I just loved this one. So we have the Sweet Bugs Photopolymer Stamp Set. It is 14 stamps with images and sentiments. If you follow me, you know I love stamp sets that combine both sentiments and images all in one. We have these cute little ants and ladybugs, bees, and this little inchworm. And the best part about this is that the designer series paper and the stamps and the dies all coordinate with each other. So we have the Sweet Bugs dies, and we're going to use these dies to cut out some of the designer series paper as well. So if you don't like to color your images, or you really want a beautiful already colored in image, you can use the dies to cut out designer series paper, and you don't have to worry about coloring anything in. It also has these ladybug garden epoxy shapes. So you have these fun little ladybugs. And then there's two, I would call them like water droplets, two different sizes, a large and a small water droplet. And also this is the Old Olive specialty Rick Rack 3/8 of an inch ribbon. So really soft too. And you could pull it apart and make it fray. But that is what comes in a suite. So you get the stamp set dies, designer series paper. I'm not going to pull the designer series paper out. I'll show you when I work on our projects. The ladybugs and the Rick Rack ribbon. Okay, so yesterday on my Instagram, Facebook, and website, I shared with you this project. This features the stamp set, which I did color in for this image, the Spotlight on Nature's dies, and this is the, do I even have this out here? I don't, but it's an embossing folder. It's a fun embossing folder. You can see what it looks like. The name is just escaping me right now. I added the little bit of the ribbon there, and then the fun little ladybug down in the corner. And I love the spread joy sentiment because it's like the little bee is spreading joy with the flowers on this one. Now today we're going to create 3 projects, excuse me, using these. So here is one of them we're going to create. This has a fun little embossing folder background too. This one we are going to color in with Stampin' Blends. So this one I'll show you just how you can bring those images to life with Stampin' Blends. This one has the eyelet embossing folder and just a little, the inchworm here. This one is from designer series paper, as well as the little mushroom. So we're not going to color this one in. So this one's good for more of your beginner / intermediate crafters. And then this one, Hello Friend, we're going to add a little bit of vellum to the background. These guys are all cut from designer series paper, and then a little fun Hello Friend sentiment. And it's hard to see those little water droplets, but we've got one right there in the upper corner. All right, let me take a sip of water. Like I said, the air quality here today is really bad. So cheers. It is pretty bad. Like I said, I can't see the mountains across the way. Normally, if I can see the mountains, it's not too bad of air quality, but today I can't see them at all. So it is quite bad out there. All right, let's get started. Today, we're gonna start first on our Mossy Meadow card. I will admit, I don't use Mossy Meadow that much. I tend to reach for Old Olive, Garden Green when I'm doing projects, but I really wanted to kind of work out of my comfort zone for this one. So we have a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock, and of course they are flying right now. The jet is flying by my window, so if you hear any jet noises, just know I live on an active military base. Yep, pretty loud right there. They were doing engine runs like right before I went live, and I was like, oh great, that's really loud, but hopefully it's not too loud on your end. Okay, we've got our Mossy Meadow cardstock. This is a 4.5 by 11, 4.25 by 11, and scored at 5.5. And like I mentioned, we've got that fun little embossing folder background there. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna use, this is the All in a Row embossing folder. It's a big embossing folder, so we'll have to use the big machine. But normally when I do my embossing folders, I like to use a layer and then glue it to the card base. But we're just gonna emboss the card base right here. And I didn't want to add another layer to this because we already have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of paper. I didn't want to add another one and it'd be too thick. So we're just gonna straight emboss this one onto our card base. And I like to use the lines on the embossing folder to really help guide that through. So we're gonna put this into our big machine. We've got our, let's move that out of the way. Ugh. It's a big one here. Now, all of the other dies, you can use the small Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, but because we are embossing with this bigger folder, we have to use the big machine. So I just pulled one of them out today. Now, this is a thicker embossing folder. So we are gonna put our plate number 1 down with our embossing folder and plate number 4 on top. Oh, actually, we just need 2 plates. Plate 1, which is our platform, then our platform here, and our clear plate. Sorry, I thought it was a thicker folder that we would need, but we don't. And we're gonna run this through our machine. Ugh. Get a good arm workout in here. There we go. And move that off to the side. And then we have our embossed card base. There we go. So here is our card base. I had already pre-scored it prior to running it through the folder. Now running it through with the folder does kind of erase that score line, but it still makes it a little bit easier to fold in half when you do have that on there. And we're just gonna take our bone folder and crisp up our line at the top. And then we have this really pretty card base ready to go. Now we have a piece of basic white cardstock and a piece of that Cute as a Bug Designer Series paper. So here's the back side. You could pre-cut these with the dies that coordinate, but we're gonna use this leaf side here. And because most of my projects need liquid glue today, that's just what we're gonna use on everything. And that's gonna go right there. And I always like to use liquid glue when I'm gluing anything to an embossed piece of paper because it really helps get into those creases of that embossed piece. So liquid glue, and then glue that right down to our card base. I am gonna add just something kind of heavy to put on there just to help it glue down a little bit better. Now we're gonna work on our bugs while that settles there. We'll need that. And I had a white piece of paper. Where did that go? Well, good thing I have an extra one somewhere. Where did my white paper go? This always happens when I craft. I lose like these little pieces that you need for the project. I even had an extra piece of white paper set aside in case I needed it. Where did it go? Is it underneath here? Nope. Oh goodness. I'm just gonna have to go grab another piece of white paper. I will find it as soon as I'm done with you guys. I know it. I just know it. It always happens. As soon as I am done crafting, I find this elusive piece of white paper. Well, there we go. We got another one. So we are going to stamp the caterpillar and this little, I don't know what kind of bug that is. Moth, fly, I don't know. So we're just gonna stamp it because it's really cute. And we've got all clear stamps here so we can get them. I put them in here and now they're all stuck together. There we go. And because we're coloring in with our Stampin' Blends, we're gonna need Tuxedo Black Memento ink. You always use Tuxedo Black when you're crafting with Stampin' Blends. I always say, how do you know which black to use? It is the stinky versus non-stinky method. your Stampin' Blends are alcohol-based markers, so they have a scent to them. Now, this is no way condoning huffing your craft supplies, but you will notice that they have like an alcohol-based scent. Let's move that up a little so you can see. And Memento ink does not. So stinky ink with non-stinky ink. We do have our StazOn ink, and that definitely has a distinctive scent to it. So you would use those with non-stinky inks, like watercolor pencils. If you're doing mainly watercolor pencils would be the one for that. All right, we're gonna cut this off here and then color in with Stampin' Blends. There we go. And for Stampin' Blends, I always like to cover my workspace with a piece of grid paper because it does run the risk of bleeding through your cardstock. And for this one, we are going to use Daffodil Delight and Old Olive and Poppy Parade for our 3 colors here. And I like to start with our light colors first. This is Light Daffodil Delight, and we're gonna color in the inchworm here. Caterpillar, inchworm. These remind me of like those big fat green inchworms, caterpillars, whatever you wanna call them, that you find on like tomato leaves. Do this side. When you grow tomatoes, you always get those big fat green worms, and they're not good. So I wanted to color it green, but then the leaf is green, so I thought it would just be too much green, so we went with yellow instead. All right, so we colored in the light first, and now we're gonna come in with the dark and just kind of use it to highlight some areas on the worm. So he's got these little stripes and dots on him that we're just gonna color in, and you can really see he just kind of came to life with a little bit of color. All right, that's it for our yellow. Now we're gonna move on to our Old Olive. We're gonna do the light Old Olive first. We're gonna color in this leaf and also whatever type of bug this other guy is. I am not a bug person, so it kind of reminds me of like a lightning bug, but it didn't have like the little bulb area on its tail, so I'm not sure what it is. But we're gonna color him in light Old Olive for the face, and then the body and the wings. And wings. Okay. Dark Old Olive. We're gonna come in and just follow the lines here on the leaf. I'm sorry if I'm a little shaky. The my rescue inhaler, when I have to take it because of the bad air quality, it makes me a little shaky. So sorry if my hands are a little shaky and the projects are a little off there. So we've got our little bug and our leaf colored in there too. And then we're just gonna take light Poppy Parade and color this little part in here, just for a little more pop of color. I'm not gonna use dark Poppy Parade because that's just such a small area that we don't even need to color that in. So there is our 2 little guys here. And we are going to die cut these. So here's our dies. And like I mentioned, these do fit into our designer series paper as well as the stamps. So we're gonna put these on, and I like to use washi tape to hold them in place so that when I run them through the die cut machine, they don't move around on me. So we're just taking the washi tape, sticking it on here, keep it in place. And with washi tape, you can kind of use it over and over again, so that's great as well. Just find the right little die for this guy. There go. And same thing, washi tape in place for that. Hello, Carol Schaefer. She's watching over on YouTube. All right, and now we're gonna run this through the machine. Now I have a magnetic platform, and so it's great because it holds the dies in place as well. We're also going to die cut at the same time this little crumb cake rectangle piece here. This is from the Textured Notes dies, and we're gonna use the third smallest die here, and you get all these different rectangles with different textures on them. And you guys, there's that white paper that I was looking for. It was really like right in front of my face. I hate when that happens. You're doing something and you can't find it, and it's like right in front of your face, but for some reason you just can't see it. So it was right there. So we're gonna die cut the crumb cake and also our little bugs at the same time. But I need the platform under that. There we go. And like I mentioned, all of these do fit in the small machines, but because we just did that embossing, I just have the big one out for all of them today. And there we go. And now we can assemble all of these guys on here. Now when you lift the washi tape, you just have to be careful because it is paper tape and it can rip your paper. But there we have our cute little inchworm. Now these, I like to reuse my washi tape pieces over and over, but these are kind of on their last leg. So we're just gonna toss those. And then here is our little rectangle, and look at that fun little kind of like stitching on the outside. Okay, move this out of the way. I like my little table off to the side here because it keeps everything out from where I need it. Now I like to keep my dies as I'm crafting. This is a magnetic bowl that I got at Harbor Freight, but you can get it at any like Parts, Home Depot, Lowe's, but it just holds the dies in place so that I don't lose anything. So it's just a little magnetic bowl there. Okay, bring back in our card base here where we added our designer series paper down to our embossed piece, and we're gonna glue down this piece of crumb cake that we just die cut first. And that's just kind of gonna go down here to the right side. Now on our bugs, we're gonna add dimensionals, and I can get this guy, there we go. He is gonna go first. He's kind of off to the side here. And then our inchworm, you need about 3 dimensionals for him. Thank you, Carol. She says she loves the card. This is my favorite this week. I really like this one. The yellow of the worm and the little Poppy Parade on the other guy's neck really just kind of pops against each other. We have a small piece of basic white cardstock. How I didn't lose this one, but I lost that other giant piece of white cardstock, who knows? On that one, we are gonna do the sentiment that says love you lots, and that's just gonna be in our memento as well. And we're going to flag the ends of this. We're just gonna take our scissors, do a small cut up the middle. Sorry, my rescue inhaler is really making me shaky, so I apologize if it's coming through on camera. It's like I can feel it and I hate it. And that's the one thing I hate about taking my rescue inhaler, is that it makes me really shaky and jittery. And I knew that with talking for Makers Monday that my asthma was gonna act up, so I did like a preemptive rescue inhaler, but it makes it really hard to craft when you're shaky. So I apologize if you guys see that. It's not my intention. Just, you know, things you gotta live with when you have asthma. All right, we're adding liquid glue, multi-purpose liquid glue to the back of our sentiment, and that's just gonna go across the bottom of our crumb cake piece. And then to tie this all up, we are going to add one of the Ladybug Garden epoxy shapes to this. Now, the best part about these ladybugs is that they're not super high and thick, so you can mail these. I like to use my take your pick tool just to kind of get under one of them, and then it's going to go in the upper right corner. And there is our first project today, featuring the Cute as a Bug suite. We have everything on here minus the ribbon, so I didn't add any ribbon to this one, but really fun. I love the little bugs, the cute little faces on them. Normally I'm not a bug person, but the little faces on them just get me every time. So I hope you like this project. This is my favorite one that we are making this week. All right, moving on, we're gonna do this card here with some vellum. And if you've never worked with vellum before, it can be a little tricky. Vellum is semi-opaque, so you really have to be cognizant of where you put your adhesive, because it will show through. So we have a piece of crushed curry cardstock. Again, not a color I tend to reach for. I really use this color mainly in the fall. It pairs well with Cajun Craze and what else? Kind of cherry cobbler for fall projects. And really outside of fall, I rarely use crushed curry. But the Designer Series paper has the little bumblebees, and they are crushed curry. So I figured it would be the perfect color to pair with this pattern of Designer Series paper. And here's the back side. So normally our Designer Series paper has more of a muted pattern on one side, more busy on the other. So we're gonna use this busy pattern. And before we add this to our card base, because this is gonna go on with Stampin' Dimensionals, so this is gonna be like the last piece we add on to our card base. But we are gonna work with our vellum piece here. Now, like I mentioned, vellum is semi-opaque, so you can see exactly where you put your adhesive on. So what we're going to do is, first we're gonna die cut our Designer Series paper. Oh, that's upside down. So here are the patterns that we are going to die cut. We're going to use these little dies, if I put it the right way, and we're gonna take our washi tape and tape this on here so it holds right where we want it to cut. And then we're not gonna have to stamp, we're not gonna have to color. These little guys will all be ready to go to put onto your project. So that's why I love cutting out Designer Series paper, because sometimes you just want it a little faster than having to stamp and cut it all yourself. We also have this beautiful, forgive me, I don't know flowers very well either. So if you know what kind of flowers these are, here's what they look like. They're not tulips, so I know that. But we're gonna use the die on whatever type of flower this is. And we're gonna hold that into place. Come on, cut. And where's a good place? Right there. And we're gonna run this through the die cut machine. Again, putting it on our magnetic mat. Now, unfortunately, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell this magnetic mat, but if you search magnetic mat, you'll find it online. It's super easy. That's all I'm gonna say. So we're gonna run this through the machine and it'll die cut our images, so then we don't have to do any stamping and coloring of these little bugs. And we're gonna pull that off, and careful with our washi tape. And then we have our flower here. Now, the ants, they will die cut 3 separate pieces. So there's our little first ant there. He already fell out. The first time I die cut this, I didn't know that it was going to be 3 separate. I thought just it's one die. So I didn't know it was going to cut out 3, but that is fine too, because you can arrange them however you would like. So we've got our 3 little ants. We have got the one with the trumpet, the flag, and then the little guy in the middle. That's how I rearranged them. I think the little flag was supposed to be in the middle, but I decided to switch it up. Now with vellum, this is how the best part, normally when I work with my cards, you can see I start with the card base and then I'll add my matte layer and you work from the card base up. With vellum, you want to work from the vellum piece down. So we're going to take our layers and we're going to glue them onto our vellum first, and then using these pieces, this will be our guide as where we add adhesive to the back side. So we're just going to glue that down, hold that there. And then our little ants. Now these guys are so small, you definitely want to add these on with liquid glue. And he's going to go there. I'm just using this block to kind of hold it down as I work my way. When you add glue to vellum, it does start to curl a little bit. So you just want to be kind of aware of how much adhesive you use. Too much adhesive, it's never a good thing, but we're all guilty of accidentally squeezing the glue bottle a little too hard. So you just want to be very aware of how much glue you're adding onto vellum. And got our little trumpet guy there. So we're just gonna glue that down. While that sits, we're just gonna let it sit like that off to the side. We're gonna stamp our sentiment. It says, "Hello, friend," and again, Memento ink. So Memento is not just for use with Stampin' Blends. It's your everyday black ink. I rarely use StazOn ink, only if I'm doing watercoloring. So really my everyday black ink is my Memento. Okay, we're going to glue our sentiment piece on here, and it's going to hang off a little bit. So we only want to add glue to the right side of this sentiment piece. And that'll be right there. All right, now we're gonna, like I said, we are going to flip this over and use this as our guide for where we're gonna add adhesive to add to this designer series paper. So Renee says the paper is so cool and she loves this designer series paper. I wish Stampin' Up! Would keep DSP that can be cut with the dies. It's such a tease to have it and then it's taken away. I know. I keep my designer series paper. I use it a lot for other projects. So even if it's not current, I still use it a lot. I have a lot of designer series paper over there. So we're gonna flip this over, and where you see the designer series paper and your cardstock shining through here, that is the only place we're gonna add adhesive. See how the cardstock here, you can see where I put the adhesive? If I was to put that straight on the vellum, you would see those lines. So we are just going to add adhesive here, and this is going to hide it from showing through. So it's a little different when you use vellum. You got to work from the top down, like I mentioned, instead of card base up like normal. And that's just gonna go right on top here. Again, just a little bit of a block there to kind of hold everything together for a few seconds, and it will really help it kind of glue down flat as well. Now we have our Stampin' Dimensionals. We're gonna stick that down really good. Flip that over, and that's where we're gonna add our dimensionals on here. 3 and 4, and 1 in the middle. Here and there. And then right side up, we're gonna add that right to the card base. And our last bit here, we're gonna add one of these clear little raindrops from the Epoxy Shapes. We're gonna use the large size, and right in the upper corner, there is our second project featuring the Cute as a Bug suite. Now this one, the only stamping you had to do was the Hello Friend. Everything else was already pre-colored in from the Designer Series paper, so all you had to do was die cut it, and it was very simple to put together. This is a great piece. We all have little bits of Designer Series paper left over that have these images, and so using these die cuts to cut them all out is a great way to stretch your Designer Series paper and get as many images from the paper as you can. So that's our second project. I really love this stamp set. It's so cute. Look at their little faces. I just love the little faces on things. I'm just a sucker for all things like that. All right, our last project, if I can find it buried under here. Here's our last project. I have used this layout a lot. I really like this layout. It's quick, it's simple, and it's a great way to use up scraps. These little strips of Designer Series paper are perfect for when you have those leftover pieces and you're like, what can I do with these? This is a great way to be able to use those scraps up and maximize your investment of what you paid for. So we have a piece of basic white cardstock, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So we're just gonna fold that in half and use our bone folder to crisp up our line here. We're going to set that off to the side. Now, I had mentioned earlier, normally when I do embossing, I do like a little mat. So we have white on white here, and then it just kind of blends together. Where that first project, I just took the embossing folder straight to the card base. So this one, we do have a mat to go along with it. Now, before we glue that down to our card base, we're going to use these strips of Designer Series paper. These are 1/2 inch by 6 inches. So just 1/2 inch strip from the 12 by 12, and then I cut it in half, so you have 4. Now you could always do 4 different patterns. You could do 6 strips if you want, but I found 4 strips, 2 different patterns work really well. And what I like to do first before I glue anything down is to just lay them across my paper to make sure that my spacing is going to be good and that my angles of my cardstock or my Designer Series paper work. So that looks good. So we're gonna pull the first one down, and you don't want to add glue to the whole thing or you're gonna glue this down to your desktop, but we're just gonna add a little bit of glue and put that first strip down. Now the rest you can just move off to the side, and you can use this first strip as your guide for where to add your liquid glue. You definitely want to use liquid glue for this because it gets into those creases and crevices of that embossed piece and it really helps it stick better. So you're going to take your glue and just do a thin strip here up the front of your first piece, and then you can put that on. And then you don't have to worry about adding too much glue to the strip because it's perfect right where you need it. And then you're just going to repeat the process until all your strips are on your paper. I probably should not have worn long sleeves because I'm gonna get glue on my shirt, but I'm not going anywhere today, so it's okay. Somebody just dropped something upstairs and it was really loud. It scared me. We live on the 3rd floor, and so of course we have people above us and they like to be loud, but that really scared me. I don't know what they dropped. Okay, we are gonna take our bigger pair of scissors. I like to use bigger scissors than my snips for this because you can just do one cut and it gets all of them. So you're just gonna cut your strips flush with your piece of embossed paper here. There we go. Did anybody watch the Super Bowl yesterday? I did. So it's weird. Yes, we get the Super Bowl here in Korea. I watch it by YouTube TV, but it, you know, Super Bowl Sunday is Sunday night in the States. It's Super Bowl Monday morning here. So we had breakfast foods and watched the Super Bowl. It's very weird to watch it on a Monday morning. But the best part is that it was at like 8 o'clock in the morning, so it wasn't super early, so we didn't have to wake up at odd times, which I really liked. What is the weather like there in Korea? It is, so right now it is 34 degrees outside. Winter, obviously, but it's been weird. So last week I've been doing, I do cross stitch, if you don't know. And I've started something this year. It's called a temperature chart. And what it is every day you do like a little stitch design for the high temperature of the day. And so then over the whole year, you'll get to see all the color variations from different temperatures. And last week, it was one day, it was 50 something degrees outside. And then the next day it was 23 degrees outside. So it is, and then this week it's supposed to be like in the 40s, 50s, and then back down to cold. So I feel like spring is coming, but not yet. It's still gonna be cold outside. Okay, so we glued down our strips here. Now we are going to die cut the arch and the little inchworm here. Oh, I'm disconnected from Facebook. What happened? So I don't know why I'm disconnected from Facebook. I'm still live on YouTube though. If I'm still live on Facebook, let me know. I don't know why it just said disconnected from Facebook. Let's see. Weird, it says that I'm disconnected from Facebook and I can't reconnect during a live stream. So I'm not sure why. I'll upload the whole thing. I don't know what's going on. That's so strange. Who knows? Okay, we'll keep going and then I'll upload it back to Facebook as well. So we've got the arch and then the worm and the mushrooms that we are going to die cut. So let's get our worm back here and then we can add that on to our card. There and here. I don't know why it cut out. I apologize. Technology. So Korea is supposed to be the bandwidth capital of the world. I say that's a lie. I don't know why it's not working like it's supposed to. Okay, and we're gonna die cut this all at the same time as our arch. So let's bring in our magnetic mat, put that down. Here's our arch and our plate. And we're gonna run this through. Let's see, can I reconnect? Let's see if it'll allow me. No, it says I'm active on there. It says still going, so who knows? Let's see. Let me refresh Facebook. Nope. I don't know what's going on. But I'm still live over on YouTube, so we'll just keep going that way. Who knows? There we go. And run this through. And we have our two pieces. So we've got our arch. These are the everyday arches dies. So you get a bunch of different arches and they're kind of stitched in there too. And I'm gonna cut that out. I think because I had it too close to the edge when I ran it through the machine. There we go. And then our little guys, we've got our mushrooms, just careful with the washi, and our inchworm. There we go. Get that out of there. And now we can assemble. So we're going to stamp our sentiment at the top here using the Memento ink. Same sentiment from our last project, the Hello Friend. And it's just gonna go at the top, right in the middle of our arch. And then we can glue this down to our card. The rest of it we're gonna add with Stampin' Dimensionals. And it's gonna go off to the left-hand side here. And our little guy with our dimensionals. It's so weird, the Facebook stream has ended, but yet when I go to the actual thing, it says active. I don't know. Something must have happened. Well, something obviously happened. And then this guy's gonna go right there. And then our little mushrooms, we're just gonna use a side piece from the dimensionals, and that is gonna go down here. We're gonna add 2 of the raindrops. We're gonna use 1 large and 1 small here. And it's gonna go up, upper right of our arch. And that is our last project today. You can see there's the little raindrops, kind of hard to see. But there's our last project featuring the Cute as a Bug suite. So I hope you guys like the project today. Let me bring in all 3 and you can let me know which one is your favorite this week. So we have the Hello Friend with the purple worm. We have our Love You Lots, and then we have our yellow Love You, our Hello Friend as well. So let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. This week, the Love You Lots is definitely my favorite. I love the pop of color, the embossed background, and just how it came together. I really liked that one. So let me know in the comments which one is your favorite this week. All right, well, thank you everybody. Let's go back here. There we go. Thank you everybody for joining me for another week of Makers Monday. I look forward to coming to you and creating again next time. In the meantime, I hope you have an amazing week and I will see you next time.